Hi everyone, welcome to the official YouTube channel of Ipmat by LPT. Another video and another topper with us. Today, we have Harini Bhaskar all the way from Navi Mumbai, and now we'll be going to IIM Rohtak, and also have joined Manish Saraf sir with us from LPT Navi Mumbai. Hello all, and first of all, many congratulations to Harini, you, and of course to you as well, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. So, Harini, before starting, and strictly just coming to how you got into IIM Rohtak, about your preparation journey, let all the students know, when did you start preparing for your IPMAT journey?
Sure. Hi, I'm Harini, and I joined UT in 11th grade. I've been a part of their 2-year IPMAT program. I've been along with LPT. These 2 years have been really eye-opening. And while I consider that, the subjects might look simple, but the concept building that LPT has helped me with has genuinely been very helpful for me. And I've been a part of this for 2 years, 11th and 12th.
And from the start, it was final, Harini, that you will be doing IPMAT.
Yes, so I joined a few months later in 11th, before my midterms. I joined LPT for this IPM preparation. The first few months, I was still exploring the other career paths as well, but I finally landed on IT.
All right, all right. Now, coming to your preparation strategy, now you were in school and simultaneously you were preparing for IPMAT. So, how was your time allocation? How did you divided your time between, as you mentioned, the subjects are dynamic and they need different approaches to each subject. So, what was your strategy?
So in 11th, when I joined the coaching, my focus was on concept building. Because as I said, I knew the subjects, but the standard and type of questions were totally different. Right? So I needed practice for that, and I focused on concept building in 11th standard, along with some topic tests. So I used to focus on my commerce subjects during the weekdays and IPMAT preparation during the weekends. QA and VA was a 50-50 split. On Saturday, I used to focus on QA and Sundays was for VA. In 12th grade, my approach remained the same, at least for the first half, the weekday weekend approach. But in 12th, I started focusing on sectional mocks as well. Because by 11th, we had covered most of the syllabus. So in 12th, I started giving sectional mocks so that I had an idea of, how that 40-minute section looked like. And I get an actual experience of the exam. Um, After my midterms, I started taking mocks, the full entire 2-hour mocks. Every weekend, I used to take mocks, analyze them, along with the weekend classes that I signed up for. And I used to focus on difficult topics where I'm struggling, etc. Uh, yes, later in my 12th, when I had my pre-boards and boards, I had to focus more on them. But I never stopped preparing for ITMAT. I tried to have both of them simultaneously preparing for both of them. Even during my pre-boards and boards, I used to write topic tests and section tests so that I don't lose touch. My number of mocks had reduced, but I didn't want to lose touch. I've seen a lot of IPM aspirants, the students who were with me in my class. They completely lost touch and were struggling later. So I made sure that I never lost touch with them. After my board exams, my complete focus shifted to IPMAT preparation, where I was taking 2 mocks a day, one in the morning and the other in the afternoon. I used to make sure that I analyze the mocks right after I take them so that the mistakes were still fresh in my mind and I could avoid making that in the next exam as well. Yeah, in the last few days, finally, I switched back to 1 mock a day. And rest of the time, I used to analyze my mistakes from the previous mocks as a revision. So even though I had analyzed them before, of course, I didn't remember everything, right? So the unanswered and wrong questions, I used to look at them again as a revision, which strengthened my core subject.
So, Harini, what were the biggest challenges that you faced during your preparation and how you overcame them?
See, as a 12th grader, the first and foremost is managing your board preparation with your IPMAT preparation. Right. So, as I said before, I made sure that I never stop either of them and I had them going simultaneously at any given point of time. Of course, I had to pause a bit during my pre-boards and boards, but I still kept going with sectional and topics. Um, my other struggles and challenges were mostly related to my subjects. If we look at verbal ability, I used to struggle with the vocabulary, and gradually I
Hmm.
learned that I can't just learn one book or one module and just appear for the exam. Um, I had to read as much as I could, build my vocabulary, and improve my command over the language as much as I could. Because that's what competitive exams are all about. They don't have a set syllabus. Right. And in quantitative ability, I had certain topics like probability, permutation formation, or trigonometry, which they were very tough. I found them tough, and they were my weak subjects. So I tried to focus on them, but gradually I understood that I can omit those questions and focus on the topic that I'm strong in. So I identified the arithmetics and other topics which I was good at, and I focused on strengthening them so that I don't have to skip any of those questions. And even if I face a probability or trigonometry question, I can skip it if I'm not able to solve it in the exam. So for that leeway, I focused on the other topics which I was strong at, and I kept honing my skills in that so that at the end of the day, during the final exam, I was able to perform well.
Correct, correct. So, Harini, as important as finding your strengths are, so is it finding your weaknesses too. Correct. Now that you mentioned you were struggling with vocab, so how was it when you appeared for the final exams? Were there any questions that stumbled you? You fumbled there. What was your strategy when it comes to addressing your weaknesses?
Right. So, thankfully, I had identified my weakness beforehand because knowing your weakness can be your biggest strength on the
Correct.
final day, right? So, on the final day, yes, during my IIM Rohtak exam, I did skip a few vocabulary questions because the meaning of the words were unclear to me and I couldn't risk the negative marking. So, I had to skip a few questions. But in the quantitative ability section, I don't think I skipped many questions. I attempted most of them because mostly they were of arithmetic. Luckily for me, those are my strong subjects, so I could tackle them. But yeah, there were a few difficult vocabulary questions which I couldn't tackle, but I managed them with the quantitative, so my overall attempt rate was high.
Great, great. And Harini, now comes the very interesting part, which is how did your personal interview round go? Because this is something that many students wait for. Once they clear their, exam, the next step is interview round. So, how was your journey when it comes to your PI preparation?
Right. So, of course, once I got to know that I've been selected for the PI round, I was ecstatic. But also, I was scared because at the age of 17, you have never really gotten the experience, right, of a person's interview. You've never given an interview in your entire school life. You've always been study for the exam, pass the exam, study for an exam again. So, the preparation approach was very different. Of course, the LPT teachers were extremely helpful. They set me up with different professors and my senior IPM students as well, who are currently in different IIMs. So those sessions were truly eye-opening. And my subject teachers, Nandini ma'am, or in fact Manish sir as well, I had interviews with them also, which proved to be extremely helpful. Apart from that, in my PI preparation, I tried to keep myself updated with whatever was happening around. The latest happenings were extremely important. And also the academics. Academics, many people underestimate as I just gave my board exams, I would know the questions. It's not like that. They focus a lot on the 11th grade subject as well. So you need to prepare right from 11th and be strong in every single subject. See, you never know what the panelists are teaching, right, in the college. So they can ask any subject. You need to be prepared with all of the subjects, especially your weak ones, because of course there you cannot fumble any of the questions. So it's better to be prepared. And I for 11th grade revision, I was watching one shots on the internet, and they helped me revise my topics. For 12th grade, most of the syllabus I could remember, but the tough ones, which I did find tough even during my board preparation, I revised them once again. I had my books with me, so I revised them once again.
Any unexpected questions in the interview round?
Actually, in my interview, they focused a lot on my co-curricular activities. So the certificates which I had produced along with my CV, they were heavily questioned. They asked me to explain each and every certificate and how I had gotten them, what I had done to get them. So even though I knew that I had to submit my co-curriculars, I didn't know it was going to be this intense. As intense as my academics actually. So that was a little unexpected, but I did tackle it. I was able to answer, which again brings me to another important point that every student needs to be very sure of what they're mentioning in their CV, because each and every line, each and every sentence that they're going to speak can lead to a next 10-minute discussion. They may cross question you a lot on that. We need to be very sure, and I was, so I was able to tackle all their questions regarding my co-curriculars as well.
Correct, correct. It's nice to be honest when it comes to mentioning
Exactly.
anything extra apart from your academics. Correct. Now, mocks and analysis, very important in a preparation journey, right? Now that you have
Yeah.
gotten into IIM Rohtak, what role did mock test and analysis played in your preparation?
See, we all know that a mock test gives you the practical experience of giving the actual exam, right? But I believe simply taking a mock is a process after. The analysis is even more important than taking the mock. Because if you just keep taking mocks without understanding where you're going wrong, or even which strategy is actually working out good for you, it will not help you on the final day. So, analysis, I believe, is extremely important, and my teachers also guided me that way. Every single day where I used to take a mock, my teacher used to tell me to analyze it then and there itself. You postpone analysis, even that can be harmful because you will start forgetting what you did in the exam, right? How you thought. Because
Correct.
sometimes some questions you might have done them correct, but you might have used a longer approach, or there might be an easier approach out there. Right? So to understand that, you need to analyze more then and there, so that you can get to the root of every problem and change your thinking that way. So that was one thing which I was very particular about in every mock that I have given in my life.
All right, this was amazing. Now, how did LPT, although you have said it, but how did LPT contribute to your success? Like, which resources, classes helped you the most, and any features in particular that made your preparation journey land you at IIM?
Right. So firstly, my mocks, right? All my mocks mostly were from LPD. I'm extremely grateful for that because it provided me with that approach which I needed to face my actual exam. And later in my PI prep also, they connected me with the current IPM students, that is my seniors who are in different IIMs right now. So they did this exact same procedure which I am doing just last year. So they have more practical knowledge and fresh knowledge rather. So that was extremely helpful, and I'm grateful for that, for getting that opportunity. Actually, the seniors were uh, the senior provided the insights which the teachers and mentors couldn't, because they don't have that current knowledge. Right? As I said,
Correct.
the seniors have done this just last year, so they know more about what's going on currently and what is expected of the students. Rather, the teachers might have the good questions, but what is expected of the student is learned from a student. So I'm thankful for that feature. And of course, the analysis were provided in the LPT website of each and every mock, section wise, time distribution. The smallest of aspects, can help you a lot. That the butterfly effect that we talk about. The smallest things can lead to very big changes during your actual exam. So that's what I'm grateful to LPT for.
Correct. And now, how wonderful it would be those mentors who are advising you, who are making you rehearse for your PI, will now be seeing you within a month or two in the same very campus.
Yeah, I am honestly
Right.
excited
That's
to go there and see them in the campus.
key. Hey, we met virtually. Now we are meeting in person.
Yeah.
Correct. Okay. So, the final advice that you would like to give all the IPMAT 2027 aspirants.
Uh, yes. So I can't believe I'm in the position to give advice because it doesn't seem long from last time when I was taking advice from my seniors, right? So yeah, of course, the first and foremost advice would be to take mocks as early as possible. This is one mistake of mine which I regret because the proper 2 hour mocks, right? I took them after my midterms in 12th. I would recommend starting right from 12th grade or even before if you can, right from 11th grade. Even if you're not prepared, don't look for the right time. Don't wait for the right time because honestly, there isn't. There isn't a right time. you just start taking as many mocks as possible as early as possible. Secondly, I would say that I've seen a lot of students neglect verbal ability and focus more on fonts, and that can actually be detrimental. See, each section is equally important and it holds equal weightage, right? So, every single question, doesn't matter which section it belongs to, will give you 4 marks. So you need to know, you need to know how to give importance to each and every section. You can't just disregard verbal ability by saying that it's just English. I can manage English. I've been doing it. No. The approach, the type of questions, the standard of the vocabulary is extremely high, and you really need to focus on that. And then for PI preparation, as I said, please be updated with the news. I actually didn't have a habit of reading the newspapers before, but I realized its importance much later. I would suggest all the junior aspirants to start reading the newspapers right from now, follow news, and be updated. And of course, see, online there's a lot of data available. The previous year cutoffs, the number of seats, the toughness of the paper, everything. Don't get overwhelmed or distracted by that data. Just keep calm and focus on your strategy, focus on your preparation. Because all the data will just help overwhelm you. This happened with me in the last few days. When I was just going through, just before the exams, I was going through how many students take the exam, what's my competition, etc. That does not help you. That will never help you. Just focus on your subject and preparation. You do your best, and rest will be taken care of. That's the advice I'd like to give.
Great, great. This has been a very insightful conversation. Manisha, anything that you would like to add here?
So just one point I would want to add here, having seen Harini inside classroom, she was a very, very active participant in the class. And I think one advice from her behalf that I would want to give to her juniors is she never hesitated in asking questions. So I remember taking LR for her, and if she is not following something, she would be one of the first one to ask if she has not followed or if there's any other better method. And as far as interview is concerned, I think all of you must have got a fair bit of idea about her communication skills. So
Yes.
we're very sure that uh, one interview call, I mean, any interview call from any of the IIMs, and Harini is going to crack it because she has so much of substance, uska delivery and everything is so very fine, and she is very good at it. And she did make us proud. So that's it. And if you allow me, I would also want to ask one question to Harini. So Harini, I don't know if it was asked to you in the interview, what's your plan after you land in Rohtak? What are first couple of things that you would do?
Right. So this wasn't asked, but I was told to prepare for this. This is the expected question. Yes. So I completely understand that getting into Rohtak is actually not the big deal. Once you get into Rohtak, the real life starts. Like, you need to start studying then more seriously. You need to take college more seriously then. So the first semester, I was actually just going to understand how the college works and how the subjects are. And my future plan is actually to pursue CFA. I wanted to do the CFA certification as my interest lies in finance. The CFA, I wanted to interact as much as possible with my seniors in order to understand their preparation and their life at the college. And of course, to have fun in the college. That obsessed.
Great. All right. It was lovely talking to you. We will be meeting very soon for sure. Thank you, Harini. Thank you, sir, and wish you all the best.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Okay.